right now.
All right, Tucker, and from Washington, D.C., welcome to Hannity. This is a Fox News alert. We can report sources are telling us tonight the FBI supplemental report on Judge Kavanaugh is now complete. It is done, and my sources say the Senate is now in possession of copies, and they will be looking at it tomorrow. My sources also are telling me tonight no new bombshell information in this report. It just reiterates what we already know from the Senate Judiciary Committee investigation and what they have already found. And now it's time for senators to step up and do their job and vote. Enough with the delay tactics, enough with the smears and the slander. We have a lot more on this in just a moment tonight. Also, the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman, Chuck Grassley, he has been stonewalled by Professor Ford's partisan legal team. They are denying all access to very extremely important pieces of evidence. And this comes as new questions are being raised about Professor Ford's testimony by a longtime ex-boyfriend. We'll bring you that report. And also tonight, now that the smears and the FBI investigation are not working, don't be surprised because the Democrats, they want to shift the topic. Now they want the vote to be about temperament and whether Judge Kavanaugh threw ice at a bar at somebody in college. Any Republican that allows this slander to become the new standard in this country is a disgrace. It will never end. You will be encouraging this behavior. We have all the latest examples of the left trying to govern by mob rule as they continue to stomp all over simple, basic American human rights, decency, due process, and something called the presumption of innocence. And by the way, a heavy dose of common sense and so much more. What we're watching is a thirst for power that knows no bounds. Lying, smearing, besmirching, bludgeoning, bullying to score cheap political victories, no matter how many lives are destroyed in the process. And of course, your friends in the corrupt media, the best friends of the Democrats, they are cheering all of this on, moving from story to story, raising the bar day after day, all to malign the president and anybody and everybody around him. All right, stay tuned for tonight's jam-packed Washington, D.C. swamp breaking news opening monologue. All right, so as we just reported moments ago, sources are telling me tonight the FBI has, in fact, completed their background check on Judge Kavanaugh. All 100 senators and 9 staff members will have access to that report, which will be kept in a safe at the Senate Judiciary Committee. Now, this comes as the chairman of that committee, Chuck Grassley, is sounding the alarm about obstruction coming from Professor Ford's extremely bitterly partisan legal team. Now, this week, we told you about this, the Judiciary Committee requested access to material evidence of Professor Ford's sexual misconduct claims, including notes from her therapy sessions that she already had handed over to the Washington Post, any recordings of her polygraph test, and Professor Ford's attorney are flatly denying the Senate Judiciary's request. So much for a real investigation. And tonight, in a letter, Grassley fired back. He wrote, quote, "The Constitution tasks the Senate, not the media or the FBI, with providing advice and consent for Supreme Court nominees. It is beyond disappointing that Dr. Ford's attorneys were willing to share evidence with the Washington Post many weeks ago, but to this day refused to share the same evidence which Dr. Ford relied on in her testimony with the U.S. Senate. It's important to remember that Ford's attorney, Deborah Katz, as you see on the screen, she is a far-left, huge, big-time Democratic donor. Remember, she was the one that was recommended by Dianne Feinstein, who wouldn't tell the Republicans about the whole issue for weeks and weeks after, till weeks after, and once vowed to resist Donald Trump. We've shown you that tape on ABC. Katz has not been cooperative with the committee from the very beginning, stalling whenever and however possible. And according to Professor Ford's sworn testimony, her attorneys never even released numerous and persistent attempts from Senator Grassley and Republicans to arrange an interview with Senate Judiciary investigators. Deborah Katz is not to be trusted. Her motivations, again, recommended by Dianne Feinstein, have long been political, including multiple instances where she defended Bill Clinton and creepy Al Franken from their misconduct allegations. She even made light twice of Paula Jones' accusations against Clinton, saying that Jones, she suffered no repercussions in the workplace because the incident only lasted 10 to 12 minutes. He exposed himself in front of Paula Jones and he wanted a sexual favor. I thought Dianne Feinstein recommended a lawyer, thought this woman was supposed to be a champion of women's rights. It appears that's only true for Democratic women. And meanwhile, Professor Ford is facing some allegations of her own in a written declaration to the U.S. Senate. A man who was Professor Ford's longtime boyfriend between 1992 and 98 is raising serious issues about her testimony tonight. During the hearing, Ford claimed to have issues with confined spaces, riding in airplanes, homes with only one door because of PTSD symptoms surrounding her alleged sexual assault. According to her former boyfriend, whose name has been redacted, Ford never expressed these issues with small spaces. She frequently flew in airplanes to and from Hawaii, lived in a small 500-square-foot apartment with only one door, never mentioned anything about being assaulted. He also claimed that Ford once counseled a friend on how to pass a polygraph test prior to a job interview with the FBI. Claim that friend is denying. Now, remember, during Ford's testimony, she emphasized her total inexperience with polygraphs. And naturally, ABC, CBS, well, they totally ignored the story during their morning coverage. That is called bias of omission. Shouldn't shock us. Now, meanwhile, in case of just plain bias, the Daily Caller is reporting that 3 different NBC News stories on Judge Kavanaugh, 3 of them, face huge accuracy issues. By the way, Andy Lack, Tom Brokaw, are you proud of your network? Tom Brokaw, the brand you spent a lifetime building. Are you happy now to be an arm of the Democratic Party? And as you can see, the left does not care about evidence, due process, presumption of innocence, the Constitution, none of it. They don't even care what this impending FBI report will uncover or not uncover. Dianne Feinstein doesn't want to even show it to you. Almost all Democrats have been against Brett Kavanaugh or whoever the president would have chosen from day one. They're only now pretending to care about allegations against Kavanaugh because they want to still stall the confirmation vote. To them, sadly, this is about power and political gamesmanship. Whether or not Kavanaugh is guilty, it makes no difference in the Democrats in this pursuit of power. Something, by the way, even Spartacus himself, Senator Cory Booker, admitted to during a recent interview. Let's take a look.
So my hope is that just beyond the vicious partisan rancor that is going on, beyond the accusations, we don't lose sight of what this moral moment is about in this country. And ultimately ask ourselves the question, is this the right person to sit on the highest court in the land for a lifetime appointment? Ultimately, not whether he's innocent or guilty, this is not a trial, but ultimately, has enough questions be raised that we should not move on to another candidate?
If enough questions are raised, well, you can't get on the court? Is that now the new modern Democratic Party? Guilty as long as there's enough accusations. Guilty of all charges, regardless of what the evidence shows. This is so reckless. Think of where this can take us. And if what Cory Booker said is the new standard, well, guess what, Spartacus? You shouldn't even be a senator based on your own standards and your own words. Remember you once bragged about your own sexual assault as a young man, writing about groping a woman in high school, even after she said no and pushed you away? Bye-bye, Spartacus. I guess it's time for you to leave the U.S. Senate in shame. Now, that's why we call them the party of smears. This is why I keep bringing up the idea of slander and lies and character assassination and family bludgeoning, all for political power, over and sacrificing the rule of law and justice, things we should all hold deeply, that should not be political. As we speak, they're doing anything and everything to stall, scared Senator Jeff Snowflake and others into voting against Kavanaugh's nomination. They're now moving the bar as much as they can. Well, maybe it's about temperament, not about what the FBI says. And now, as we predicted, their new talking point is the current FBI inquiry is being rushed. Oh, we don't trust the FBI? This despite absolutely no request from the FBI that more time is needed at all. It's all about delay. Now we're going to talk about temperament. Then we're going to talk about, well, maybe he didn't tell us exactly how much he drank, even though he said he drank a lot of beer and still drinks beer and sometimes drank too much beer. Watch this.
I trust the FBI. I hope they have the latitude, the time, in order to get the job done right.
The Republicans held up a seat when Justice Scalia passed away for nearly a year. So there is no reason to ram this through. There should be a full investigation of all of the allegations that have been raised and whatever other witnesses follow on as a result of the discussion or the interviews of those witnesses.
The Senate should allow the FBI to pursue all the evidence and not to cap where they may go or put a leash on the investigation.
The FBI is very close to wrapping its investigation. In fact, it could wrap as early as today. Does that strike you as sufficient time, or does that feel rushed?
That would concern me.
No, more time. We want more time. Let's change the topic. Let's talk about something else. Let's investigate this or that. Last-minute investigations. So yet, in another last-ditch effort to smear Judge Kavanaugh, destroy his family, Senate Democrats are demanding the Senate Judiciary Committee retract the following tweet, quote, "Nowhere in any of these 6 FBI reports, which the committee has reviewed on a bipartisan basis, was there ever a whiff of any issue at all related in any way to inappropriate sexual behavior or alcohol abuse." Senate Democrats revealed zero evidence over why that tweet should be redacted. And the Senate Judiciary Committee fired back, quote, "Nothing in the tweet is inaccurate or misleading. The committee stands by its statement, which is completely truthful." More baseless innuendo, more false smears from Senate Democrats. As you can see, the Democratic Party, they are the smear machine, now in full gear and a full panic. They don't want this vote. It's really despicable to watch. Think about what this means for your kids and your grandkids and the future of this country. Guilt by accusation. Enough accusations, you're done. Now, that is why they are flailing. And there's all these questions now. Oh, let's talk about his temperament. Forget the FBI report we demanded. How is someone accused? Get this. Think of this yourself. You're accused of systematically, regularly drugging young teenage girls, being involved in, well, frequent gang raping of young teenage girls. What is the proper reaction? What should the temperament be of somebody if you're falsely accused? What would you expect them to say very quietly, "I'm innocent"? Or do you think they would have such indignation, righteous indignation, anger, and outrage that they want to make it as clear as possible they're innocent? I think the latter is how most people would probably react. And the far-left mob, they're in overdrive. Remember, Maxine Waters, get in their faces. Well, guess what, Maxine? It's happening. Breaking tonight, a congressional intern for Democrat Sheila Jackson Lee has been arrested after he publicly posted sensitive information of pro-Kavanaugh Republican senators online. This is extraordinarily dangerous. And over the weekend, we saw Senator Mitch McConnell accosted in an airport after Ted Cruz, after Pam Bondi, after Secretary Nielsen, after, Sarah Sanders. Yesterday, a Republican congressman was actually assaulted in his Capitol Hill office by an angry group of protesters who pushed in his door. In Texas, another angry mob confronting a group of pro-Kavanaugh students at UT Austin. Take a look at this.
We support rapists! Tell me what was the point of the Yes! Kavanaugh!
They're just here to Are you kidding? We believe survivors! They won't even bring we believe survivors! So how is that? We believe survivors! We believe survivors! Who do you believe? I believe my name. Oh! It's pretty violent.
You want this kind of behavior rewarded? What do you think the outcome is? It'll be more and more radicalism, more and more allegations, make enough of them, and you get your way. Basically mob rule, no law and order. Now, do you care about due process and the presumption of innocence? Because those 3 Republicans, we have, of course, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Snowflake. You're the ones that are going to decide, because if you go along with this after you got what you wanted, this is what your future and our future as a country will be. Now, Republicans won an election. We had a president that actually gave the names of the people he would consider appointing to the Supreme Court, and he won. People want originalists, constitutionalists confirmed for the Supreme Court. That's what they voted for. Look at this Fox News poll that just came out. The answer is yes. Republicans are now making gains in top Senate races all across the country, and Republican enthusiasm has now increased significantly. Look at your screen. Now, these are the people who will decide the fate of Judge Kavanaugh, the future of the country. You want to call these people? Feel free to do so. Call their office, call the hotline, call the main line. I'd urge you to be polite. I think that's respectful of the office. 34 days from tonight, and we'll know the results of the midterms. Those 5 senators, they choose to go along, move the bar, stop Kavanaugh because of what are uncorroborated allegations in every case. No evidence in every case. You know what's going to happen. They vote against Kavanaugh, and guess what? They're up for re-election vote, and you can vote them out. This is about whether or not we want to live in a country, the United States of America, where smears are rewarded, an America where we accept character assassination on a regular basis, where we have no problem destroying political lives with no evidence, no corroboration, and it can happen to you. An America where we throw out all due process out the window. We're willing to reward this behavior. And if Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Jeff Snowflake, if they try and make this about anything other than what they asked for, a limited FBI report that is now complete, I will say they have zero character or honor themselves. And they will be responsible as this happens again and again and again. Because the Democrats, they don't have a plan. Listen to any of them. What are they saying that they will do to improve the country? All you get from the Democrats is we know they want to impeach 45. They want impeachment. They want endless investigations into Trump and even Kavanaugh. If he gets on the court, they want to impeach him. They want their crumbs back. They want higher taxes. They want to get rid of ICE. They want open borders. They want leftist judges that legislate from the bench. They want Obamacare. How's that working out for you? That's their agenda in 34 nights. You head to the polls. You get to vote in House races. Take a look on your screen. See if that's your district, because if it is, it matters. And ask yourself one question. Is America better off than we were 2 years ago? You know, when you vote one of these Senate races that you see on your screen, take note, from the economy to security and national security and trade deals and eliminating burdensome regulation, the biggest tax cut in history, and all of these things. Well, that's all going to come to a halt if Republicans lose in November. You don't vote, you will get the government you deserve. And if these lawmakers give into this tactics, it'll happen again and again and again. You will be rewarding reckless, irresponsible, absolutely outrageous behavior and character assassination. You want to be a part of that? You choose in 34 days. Joining us now, author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Liars, Leakers, Liberals, the host of Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Welcome, both of you. Tammy, we'll start with you tonight.
Sure.
Seems like, and I have a source telling me on Capitol Hill, that the 3 Republicans are now trying to move the bar. The 3 that asked for the FBI investigation, that Dianne Feinstein doesn't want to release to us. They say, well, maybe the temperament isn't right because he got angry after he was accused of being a serial drugger of teenage girls and gang rapist. And he got angry.
Yeah. Look, I've got a column out today in the Washington Times that actually speaks to that. After what he was accused of, and as they tried to politically assassinate himself and his family, if he did not react in the way that he reacted, that would have been the strange dynamic. He responded in a way that any normal, reasonable person would respond when facing those kinds of horrific allegations that were false. So the American people saw that for themselves. What we do know, and I think those 3 Republicans and the Democrats should be concerned about, tonight from NPR, showing that the Democrat enthusiasm gap that existed, they used the word, Sean, evaporated. The enthusiasm benefit that the Democrats had over the Republicans has evaporated since mid-September to this point. In other words, because of the Kavanaugh hearings. So the signal now, and I trust the American people for exactly this reason. They saw what we saw. They care about the Constitution. So does Brett Kavanaugh. And what they saw are a bunch of senators and other politicians who do not. We like the rule of law. We care about fairness. We don't want to be told that we're now guilty until proven innocent. This has been rejected. They're now seeing that in the polls. You're going to see this, and I've been saying this now really from the beginning when I saw the hysteria that the Democrats were going to regret what they've done.
I cannot confidently, Judge Pirro, tell our audience tonight that in 34 days that the House is not going to be in the hands of Nancy Pelosi. I cannot confidently say that Chucky Schumer is not going to be the Senate Majority Leader, and I cannot confidently say that somebody like Maxine Waters, with her reckless rhetoric, you know, get in their faces, et cetera, follow people in the gas stations and grocery stores, won't be chairing committees. I don't have a crystal ball. Midterms are very tricky.
They are very tricky, and we know that history is against us with respect to, you know, the House in this particular year, given that this is the president's first term. But I have to tell you, Sean, you're absolutely right, because this is what it comes down to. It comes down to the November 18 midterms. We are experiencing a paradigm shift in this nation, unlike anything I have ever seen or read about, and that is the upending of the criminal justice system and the Constitution. You talk about it all the time, but it's been my life for 30 years. And every judge has a book called Jury Instructions that talk about the presumption of innocence, that talk about the burden of proof on the accuser. All of that is being thrown away, not subtly, but openly by people like Cory Booker. This is not a he said, she said. It's a he said, she said, they said. And everyone she used as an alibi, Dr. Ford, is someone who has contradicted her.
Well, Cory said, if there's enough allegations thrown out, that's enough to end this right here. I'm like, if that's the standard, it's done. Where's this midterm go in 34 days? 20 seconds each. We'll start with Tammy.
Look, I think we're going to be fine. I think the American people, this was a wake-up call. It is, though, about getting out. And you're right, Sean. There can be no room for anybody who cares about President Trump's agenda, no matter what your party. We know he has support of independents and even of some Democrats. If you want the future to be one that you can trust for your sons and your daughters, you've got to vote, and you've got to vote for people who support the president.
Okay, but here's what my concern is. Look, everyone's got to get out there to vote. Whether you think a victim, accuser, that's not it. It's about the system and the Constitution. My concern is the get out the vote and new people who have been registered to vote. We've got to make sure they get out there and register and then vote.
You're going to get more of it.
That's right.
Thank you both. When we come back, former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich right here in studio. Breaking news on the Supreme Court. That's coming up. All right, joining us now with reaction to tonight's breaking news, the author of the New York Times bestseller, Trump's America, The Truth About Our Nation's Great Comeback, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Great to see you.
Great to be with you.
Now the bar seems to be moving. I have a source telling me, well, the three Republican senators, Murkowski, Collins, Snowflake, sorry, that's my nickname, now maybe it's about temperament. Maybe he didn't respond the right way when he went before the Senate and showed righteous anger and indignation after being accused of being a gang rapist.
I would be very surprised if Susan Collins would do that. I think she's a serious person. I think she really set a standard and said, let's get an investigation. Apparently, we don't know, but apparently the FBI came back and said there is nothing there.
It's what they reiterated, the Senate Judiciary investigation.
Yeah. And
nobody changed their story.
My guess is that you've got Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski are solid people. They've talked this through. I think they will vote for the judge. I don't know what Flake will do, although he had indicated pretty clearly if the FBI comes back with nothing, he's going to vote yes. And I think that the odds are pretty high that Manchin, senator from West Virginia, is going to vote yes. When you're in a state where Trump got 46% margin, you have a certain level of, if you're up for re-election, presumption. So I think tonight, I mean, maybe things will change. But my sense is tonight that you're going to have either Saturday or Monday a vote, a yes vote, and he's going to be confirmed.
All right, so I hope you're right. 34 days from now, I knew you back in '94. The day before the election, I saw you, and the day of the election, I saw you. This is the night you became Speaker of the House. Yeah. This is, a foundation of renewing American civilization, culminating in a contract with America, culminating in Republicans coming to power for the first time in 40 years. And confident, we're going to win. That's a pretty bold prediction, considering Republicans hadn't won in 40 years, but you were right. You have a degree of optimism about the election in 34 days. Maybe it's because I'm Irish, maybe because I'm always expecting the worst the next second of any day, but I don't have that confidence that you do.
Well, I think I'm a lot like Reagan in that I really believe in the American people. And I really believe the average American saw all of this character assassination, smearing, dishonesty, manipulation. And I think they look at a Republican team led by Trump that is really delivering and getting things done. And so then they look over here at these Democrats who have really been trying to block everything. And they got results over here, real results, jobs, breakthroughs on trade, things that are happening that are tremendous. And look over here at these people who seem to fight everything. And I said, this is what happened to me in 2016. Because I remember doing a show with Megyn Kelly 2 weeks out. And I finally said, I just don't believe, in fact, it's in the tape. I said, I don't think the American people are going to elect somebody as corrupt as Hillary Clinton, period. I just didn't believe it about the American people. Now, it was a close race. I do not believe tonight that the American people are going to reward left-wing socialist people who want to obstruct everything by giving them power. So I'm moderately optimistic. I wouldn't, bet the family farm, but I might bet a horse or two.
Okay, nice to say. I didn't know you had horses, but I'm glad to hear it. But look, it comes down to individual districts.
Right.
And there are a lot of new people, a lot of retirements this year. That raises an unknown question. Sure. I do think Manchin's in trouble. I think Nelson's in trouble. I think Donnelly's in trouble. I think Claire McCaskill's in trouble.
I think
Heitkamp's down 12 now in the Fox poll.
Tester's in trouble.
Tester in Montana. There's a lot that can happen. Some of these races are very close, but some incumbent Democrats are 43.
I think the Senate, we are very likely. And by the way, I think in Minnesota, you're going to have a very real possibility of an upset, because I think that the Republican nominee is a very attractive woman, and I think the Democratic nominee, who was the lieutenant governor, has to carry this whole burden of Keith Ellison. And given everything Democrats have said about, unsubstantiated allegations, I mean, how does she campaign on a ticket with a guy who's had two different women say that he abused them?
Why didn't they ask for an FBI investigation into him? Or if we're going to go back to Kavanaugh's teenage years, we could at least go back to the time that Bill Clinton was the Arkansas Attorney General, can't we?
Well, that's once you open this up. And I just think, the president's going to be in Minnesota tomorrow. He's going to have a chance, I think, to...
Important House seats in Minnesota, California, New York.
Right.
States that you wouldn't think where the House has been play.
And in a number of these places, he's going to be able to go in, campaign for the House member and the senatorial candidate. And you could see a sweep building that would be breathtaking. And I think on the Senate side, we are going to clearly gain seats.
You're the historian. It's only happened 3 times in 100 years. Party wins the White House and doesn't lose seats in the first midterm. Last time was 2002.
I don't want to sound silly about this, but all I can tell you as a historian is you've never had Donald J. Trump. I mean, you're in a different world right now. You have somebody who is a great natural campaigner.
Do you think all his supporters understand that what they voted for in 2016, that they've tried to tear down almost from day one and destroy him? Do you think they know that that's all in jeopardy?
I think that the liberals' assault on Kavanaugh has aroused conservatives and moderates, decent people, people who believe in the rule of law, people who believe in fairness. I was at Phoenix yesterday with about 850 people at a radio station.
That's not quite the size of a Trump rally.
No, well, he's Trump and I'm Gingrich.
I'm only teasing.
Look, and neither he nor I get 6 million people an evening.
Okay, thanks.
So we don't quite get a Hannity broadcast. But the point is, the people I saw were on fire. They are so, and they want to elect McSally. They want to make sure that we sweep the House. She is. She's going to, and she'll be a great U.S. Senator.
Sally, Heller in Nevada. Those are all races that could be. There could be. Listen, it's close.
It is close.
Every vote's going to matter.
So I'm going to be an optimist and say, if we get out to vote, if we tell our story, if we don't let up, we're going to do fine.
Mr. Speaker, good to see you.
Great
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks.
Great to be in the swamp where you live. Oh, no, you live in Italy now. I forgot. Congratulations. When we come back, Pam Bondi, Joe DeGenova, Sarah Carter. Well, the very latest breaking news, the Kavanaugh nomination. The FBI report is finished. More details when we come back. All right, joining us now to talk more and with more reaction to tonight's big breaking news, Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Joe DeGenova, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. Full disclosure, Joe, has done some work for me in the past. He's a great lawyer if you need him. He fights. He's tough as nails. Sarah, let's start with, first of all, this doxing suspect found late last night in the congressional office of a member with whom he didn't work, also affiliated with Feinstein.
Affiliated with Feinstein, an intern.
You can explain what doxing is.
Oh, yeah. So he basically broke into the office. He stole files. He's apparently very familiar with computer technology. That's what he did as a student.
Sending out information.
Sending out information. So he basically stole information, senators' addresses, telephone numbers, sent it out over the Internet. Of course, he was discovered. He was an intern for Sheila Jackson Lee.
Right.
He is in huge trouble, Sean. He is facing a criminal felony and prison time for this. I know that Joe and I were talking about it. It's outrageous, and it's showing you how far the left has gone.
They're giving out home addresses now of senators.
How dangerous is this?
Very.
And people can show up at their homes. We don't know what dangerous people are out there. And I think the American people are starting to see right now how terrible and how dangerous this has become, basically to the fundamentals of our Constitution and to our own life and safety and liberty.
What about the bar moving? Well, we got the FBI report in tonight, which we did. Maybe we need to focus more on temperament. He got pretty pissed off after he was accused of being a serial drugger of teenage girls and serial gang rapist.
Well, there's no doubt that the Democrats from the very beginning have wanted to delay the proceedings past the November election in the hopes of taking the Senate. It's been a despicable tactic. If it had just been delay and they were going to just throw grease, into the wheels, that's one thing. But they decided to get their delay by trying to destroy a man, destroy his wife, and destroy his family.
Many ways, how does he get his good name back now?
What they have done has dragged the Senate into one of its most despicable moments since the McCarthy era. And yet every one of those 10 Democrats on the committee doesn't care. What the American people have to understand, and this is a new Democratic Party. This is not your mother's Democratic Party, your grandmother's. This is a party of anarchists and communists. The Democratic Party has become the party of the far left, and they will do anything to get power back.
Scoop Jackson's, Joe Lieberman.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine what they would think and
John
are
F.
thinking?
Kennedy would not represent this party. He was not this person. Pam, let me ask you this. We have 3 Senate Republicans we're watching closely. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Senator Snowflake. And nobody knows tonight what they're going to do. They're not talking to anybody. Signs that some might be questioning moving the bar about temperament. Maybe, well, did he not tell us exactly how much beer he drank? He threw ice in an incident in a bar when he was at Yale. I used to be a bartender. That is probably the least significant thing that I saw when I was 17, 18, 19, and 20 tending bar.
Sean, every single one of these senators on the Judiciary Committee, they need to read their job description. The Judiciary Committee was created to look out for constitutional issues, and they are turning the Constitution on its head. And let me tell you, Senator Murkowski, she better be taking note, because she's an attorney. Of the three you mentioned, she's the only attorney. And she should understand that Brett Kavanaugh walked in there guilty and had to prove his innocence. And she should understand that the court of public opinion can destroy someone, sometimes more than a criminal conviction can. So these people on that committee need to look at the laws. We talk about the presumption of innocence. We talk about due process. We are watching it, our country, our world, play out in real time about a man who had to come in there and prove his innocence.
Do any of these senators have families and worry that one day, as Cory Booker says, if there's enough accusations, that's enough?
Well, it doesn't end here. If we don't fight for this, if our Senate Judiciary Committee does not do the right thing, once this FBI
it's out of
report
the Judiciary. It's now the Senate.
It's the Senate. The Senate has to do the right thing here, and the FBI report will be in. We know this. We know, based on sources, based on your sources, based on my sources, they did not find anything. The most sacred principle in the United States Constitution, in our basic fundamental law, is that you are innocent until proven guilty. They have tried to destroy this man's life, destroy his family, destroy his children, and now I think the American people, Sean, are not buying this. They are going to go to the voting polls.
Joe, not one, in the case of all these three major allegations, no corroboration, shifting stories and narratives.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that, from my perspective, I know that you don't share this, and a lot of people at Fox don't, but I actually believe that Dr. Ford fabricated her testimony. I think she's delusional. I think she's a very troubled...
I don't think that's even significant to the issue.
No, but here's the point.
Right.
Because there's no corroboration.
What we got through here was somebody, there could be no corroboration because nothing ever happened. And since there has been no corroboration, my first phone call to Lisa Murkowski would be, and this is the old days, okay? I've been here 51 years.
All right, Joe. Easy.
Lisa,
Easy.
Lisa, can you spell Anwar? Can you spell Anwar and the oil drilling in Anwar, Lisa? Can you spell that? That's, you know what? She owes the president a lot more than this vote. And if she votes against this candidate, he should pull the plug.
By the way,
on the Anwar drilling.
Well, he shouldn't, because it's good for the country. But the Anwar deal means literally thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That's right. For
so
every Alaska. By the way, if you're a resident of Alaska, you get money from the government for raw materials. All right. Oh, we got to give the last word to Pam. Pam.
All the senators need to do the right thing. This is about our Constitution, being in a courtroom my entire career.
Do you know Murkowski? Do you know Susan Collins?
I don't, but I hope they do the right thing. And Joe Manchin's got a lot to lose, because he's going to be in a lot of trouble with Patrick Morrisey as the next U.S. Senator from West Virginia if he doesn't vote yes for this. And Patrick probably still will beat him. But these senators need to take notice, and they need to do the right thing. This is not about politics.
Predictions.
Oh,
Pass.
he's passed.
He'll be confirmed.
He'll be confirmed.
Just okay. Hopefully optimistic. I'm Irish. Don't worry. It's normal.
Oh, you are.
Oh, yeah. When we come back, Greg Jarrett, Andy McCarthy, Carrie Severino will be with us. We have more on the reaction. What will these three Republicans do? How it will impact America's future? Straight ahead. All right, joining us now with reaction to tonight's breaking news, the author of the New York Times bestseller, Trump's America, The Truth About Our Nation's Great Comeback, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Great to see you.
Great to be with you.
Now the bar seems to be moving. I have a source telling me, well, the three Republican senators, Murkowski, Collins, Snowflake, sorry, that's my nickname, now maybe it's about temperament. Maybe he didn't respond the right way when he went before the Senate and showed righteous anger and indignation after being accused of being a gang rapist.
I would be very surprised if Susan Collins would do that. I think she's a serious person. I think she really set a standard, said, let's get an investigation. Apparently, we don't know, but apparently the FBI came back and said there is nothing there.
It's what they reiterated, the Senate Judiciary investigation.
Yeah. And
Nobody
so
changed their story.
My guess is that you've got Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski are solid people. They've talked this through. I think they will vote for the judge. I don't know what Flake will do, although he had indicated pretty clearly if the FBI comes back with nothing, he's going to vote yes. And I think that the odds are pretty high that Manchin, senator from West Virginia, is going to vote yes. When you're in a state where Trump got 46% margin, you have a certain level of, if you're up for re-election, presumption. So I think tonight, I mean, maybe things will change, but my sense is tonight that you're going to have either Saturday or Monday a vote, a yes vote, and he's going to be confirmed.
All right, so I hope you're right. 34 days from now, I knew you back in '94. The day before the election, I saw you, and the day of the election, I saw you. This is the night you became Speaker of the House. Yeah. This is, a foundation of renewing American civilization, culminating in a contract with America, culminating in Republicans coming to power for the first time in 40 years. And confident, we're going to win. That's a pretty bold prediction, considering Republicans hadn't won in 40 years, but you were right. You have a degree of optimism about the election in 34 days. Maybe it's because I'm Irish, maybe because I'm always expecting the worst the next second of any day, but I don't have that confidence that you do.
Well, I think I'm a lot like Reagan in that I really believe in the American people. And I really believe the average American saw all of this character assassination, smearing, dishonesty.